Okay, it is test review. So let's go over that review sheet that you got yesterday. And make sure you are doing it correctly. Did I skip a page? No. Okay, so for numbers 1 through 4, we are just going to identify the vertices. Okay, the vertices of each, so I'm going to find this one's a little tricky. We have to find the center of our box. It is a hyperbola, so we're going to find the center of our box, and then we have to move in order to count to where the vertices are. Okay, so this one's a little different than what we've done before. Okay, it doesn't want the center, it wants the vertices. Okay, so at my vertices, I'm going to do the opposite. So for my center of my box, I'm at -10, +5. Okay, and this is a vertical, so it looks something like this. And the square root of 121, that gives us the height. Okay, so a height of 11. So that means my vertex is going to change the y-coordinate, kind of like it did with the foci. Okay, so my vertices are going to be at -10, and then 5 plus 11, which is 16. And also at -10, 5 minus 11, which is -6. Okay, a little tricky. Okay, get the center of the box. Remember, the center of the box is right here. That's not our vertice. Our vertice is what it's looking for right here, is the actual corner of the parabola. Okay, so looking at number 2, another vertical. Okay, so my y-coordinate is going to change. My y center, or my center of my box, is currently at +3, +9. Okay, so the height of it is the square root of 16, which is 4. And again, the x does not change, so my vertice is at 3. 9 plus 4, which is 13. 9 minus 4, which is 5. Okay, for 3 and 4, I'm going to have to go to another page. I have negative x squared plus 4y squared plus 2x minus 32y minus 37 equals 0. Okay, these are not in the standard form that we're used to, so we're going to have to complete the square for this hyperbola. Okay, so again, we know how to do this. Get our x's together, get our y's together. And move that -37 over so it becomes positive. Factor the number out that's in front with the squared variable. And divide. 2 divided by -1 is actually a -2x. That was my fault. And we're going to pull our 4 out here. Y squared minus 8y. And we still equal 37. And we are going to create our bubble. X bubble. Y bubble with my blanks. And divide. So -2 divided by 2 is -1. -1 squared is +1. Over here we get negative 4. Negative 4 squared is positive 16. Okay, let's simplify this to make it look a little better on the right side. Okay, again, one fell swoop, type that in there. 37 plus negative 1 times 1 plus 4 times 16. Type it all in there, you get 100. Okay, and we make it equal to 1 because it is a hyperbola. So everything gets divided by that answer. So I end up with negative x minus 1 squared over 100 plus y minus 4 squared over 25 equals 1. And of course, the final, it is a hyperbola, so you do want your minus in the middle, so I am swapping these two around. My y is going to go first, and then my x. Okay, so now that I have that, now I can identify or find my vertices. Okay, again, my center is at positive 1, positive 4. Okay, it is a y parabola, so it's going to look like this. Okay, so my x is not going to change. Okay, so my x stays at 1. And I know my height is the square root of 5, so my height from my center up to here is 5 units. So I take my current y coordinate of 4. So I get 4 plus 5, which is 9. And 4 minus 5, which is negative 1. So again, the vertices are at 1, 9. And 1, negative 1. Okay, let me go back and let y'all look at that for a minute. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We'll be doing the same thing on the next one. Okay, let's write this one down. And it is 2x squared minus 5y squared. (28x, 80y). Negative 272 equals 0. Okay, let's complete the square again. Can't do anything, can't identify anything without that. So x's together. Move my constant to the other side. Factor out who is with the squared variable. Now we'll create our bubbles. X bubble, Y bubble. If you notice, the minus is already in the middle. so we will not have to move anybody. Okay, negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. 16 divided by 2 is positive 8. When you square those, you always end up with positives over here. You get a negative over here, you have multiplied incorrectly. Okay, we're going to simplify that right side. See what number we're going to be dividing by. Again, all of it typed in at one time. It'll save you any kind of errors, accidental errors, I should say. And you end up with 50 over here. So we are going to divide by 50 to get rid of those numbers out in the front. So we have a hyperbola of x minus 7 squared over 25 minus y plus 8 squared over 10 equals 1. Again, it already has the minus, so I don't have to move anybody around. Okay, it is an x hyperbola, so he looks like this. Okay, so my vertices are going to change the x value. Okay, the center of my box is currently at positive 7, negative 8. The width of my box is the square root of 25, which is 5. So I do 7 plus 5, 7 minus 5. So my vertices are at 7 plus 5, 12, negative 8, and 2, negative 8. Again, 12, negative 8, and 2, negative 8. Okay, make sure y'all get that all written down. Okay, moving on. Okay, again, vertice and foci. So we need the center first. Okay, he doesn't really belong in this problem, but we need him in order to find the vertice. Okay, it is a hyperbola. It is a y hyperbola, so be careful when you're listing the center. Positive 10, 0. Okay, if it is vertical, think about it. It looks like this. There's my center. So I'm going to be changing the y in order to get the vertice. Okay, so my x stays at 10. My vertice is revolving around the y, so the square root of 135, which is an ugly number. So I am just going to do this right here. Positive square root of 135, because it would be 0 plus that. And negative square root of 135, 0 minus that radical. Okay, with our foci, we're going to go even further on the y-axis. Okay, even further on the y-axis. So we have the square root of 135 plus 160. Which is probably going to give us another ugly number. And it does, the square root of 295. This is an ugly problem, I apologize. Okay, so now our foci is at 10. Square root of 135 plus the square root of 295 is our y coordinate. Super ugly. And over here it is 10 negative square root of 135. Oops. Minus our new radical, which is also ugly, of 295. Okay, ugly, ugly, ugly. So again, I label our vertice in pink right here on the little guys over here, and then our vertice, or our foci even went further than that inside the parabola. Okay, so number 6. Same sort of ugliness over here. Okay, this time we have a horizontal hyperbola, so it looks like this. Okay, my green center is going to be at -5, +5. Okay, which make my vertices, so these little orange guys I'm drawing right here, are going to change the x coordinate. Okay, so 5 more units away, the square root of 25 is 5. So I have -5 plus 5, which puts me at 0, 5 for one coordinate. -5 minus 5 puts me at -10, 5 for the other coordinate. Okay, for my foci, which is going to take me even further on the x-axis. Okay, so even further changing these guys. Square root of 25 plus 144. Gives me the square root of 169, which is 13. Again, my x is the one that's changing. So I have this guy, which is right here, plus 13, so it's going to be 13, 5 for that coordinate, and -23, 5 for that coordinate right there. Whew! Those were terrible. Okay, that's where vocabulary plays a big part. It wasn't looking for the center, it was looking for the vertice. Okay, not the center, it was looking for the vertice. Okay, the next two are super easy. Asymptotes. Okay, remember the asymptote is always rise over run. Rise over run, so in this case the square root of 9 over the square root of 16, plus or minus 3 over 4 for that one. Square root of 64 over the square root of 100, plus or minus 8 over 10, which simplifies to be 4 over 5. Okay, 9 and 10, we're going to rough sketch these fellas. Okay, I need my center of my box first, so my center is at -4, 0. So there's my center. It is a y hyperbola, so I'm looking for my vertices to be up in this location somewhere. Okay, remember this guy is actually stacked on top of 1. Okay, so y over 25, so I'm actually taking 5 steps away. So it puts my vertice right there, and right there. And that's terrible. There's my rough sketch. Okay, I know that my box is 5 units tall, and it is actually only 1 unit wide. So here is my box right here. Okay, this guy, my center of my box is at +2, +1. He is a x parabola. He is an x parabola. Okay, so it's one step to get to both of my vertices. Okay, my box is 1 unit wide and actually 3 units tall. 1, 2, 3. So there is my picture. Okay, flip it over. Okay, we have to graph these two. In order to graph those, we have to do the completing the square. I'm going to cheat a little bit here. Well, maybe not. So negative x squared plus 9y minus 2x minus 72y plus 134. I'm going to kind of go through this pretty quickly. Y'all should be pretty good at this completing the square, so I'm going to kind of book it through it so I can get this guy simplified so we can graph it. Oh, I lost my square there. Okay, so there's my answer. I have y minus 4 squared minus x plus 1 over 9 . Okay, so that gives me a center at -1, +4. So there's the center of my box. Okay, it is a y parabola. Y is first. And the y, remember, is always over 1 if there's nothing there, so my vertices are actually right here. Okay, so my box is 1 unit tall and actually 3 units wide. Okay, so there is my picture. Okay, let's jump over to this guy right here. Again, I'm going through this kind of fast, just completing the square part. Skipping some steps here, so if that confuses you, do not watch. Okay, so we have 4x plus 4 squared minus y squared equals 4. I'm already in the right form, so I have x plus 4 squared, 4 divided by 4 is 1, minus y squared over 4 equals 1. Okay, so my center is at negative 4, 0. Again, another x, and this is a x hyperbola with a width of 1 unit to my vertices. And a height of 2, so from the center up 2, down 2, and there is my box. Okay, a little backwards here. We're actually going to write the equation this time. Okay, this is a y parabola, or a y hyperbola. So my y is going to go first. Always a minus when you're talking about a parabola. Always set equal to 1. Okay, this guy is 1, 2, 3, 4 units wide. So over 16. He is 1, 2, 3, 4 units tall, also over 16. My y coordinate is negative 1, which gives me a plus right there. My x coordinate is 0, which gives me a 0 right there, which y'all know can actually be written as x squared. Okay, this guy, my center is at 0, negative 2. It is a y parabola, so my y goes first. I keep saying parabola. A hyperbola. Okay, my x coordinate is 0 again. My y is at negative 2, which makes it a plus 2 when it goes in. My width is 1. 1 squared is 1. My height is 1, 2, 3. 3 squared is 9. Okay, this guy. Here's an x hyperbola, so x goes first. Always a minus. Always equal 1. Okay, my x-coordinate is -2, which makes it a +2 when I plug it in. +3, which makes it a -3 when I plug it in. My width is 1, 2, 3 units. 3 squared is 9. And my height is 1. 1 squared is 1. Okay, this guy over here is kind of hard to see, but it is a y hyperbola. Okay, it is super stretched out wide, but it is a y hyperbola. Okay, so my y goes first. Looks like my x-coordinate is 0 again, so my x is just going to be an x squared. Okay, the height of this is actually only 1 unit. My width is a little more difficult. I believe it's coming out to here, which makes it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units wide. 5 squared is 25. My y-coordinate is -3, which makes it a +3 when I plug it in. Okay, in the last few, okay, let's think about this. If my center is at -6, 9, okay, so for these we have two words we haven't seen before. Okay, conjugate, all I want you to remember is that it measures box. Okay, BC, conjugate measures box, and then the transverse measures to the vertices. Okay, so if it gives you a transverse of 12, that means that wherever the vertices is, in this case horizontal, so our vertices are on the x-axis, then from the center to the x, or to the x vertice, it's 12 units. Okay, and they want us to state what? Write an equation. Okay, so to write an equation, we have our center. Okay, if the transverse axis is horizontal, that means we are talking about an x parabola, so it looks like this. So our x is going to go first. Okay, our x-coordinate is -6. When we plug it in, we get +6. Our y-coordinate is +9. When we plug it in, we get -9. Okay, our horizontal measure is 12. Okay, horizontal, the axis is the entire length. Okay, so if the whole thing from here to here is 12, okay, then half of that would be 6. Okay, so 6 squared is 36. Okay, same thing over here. Okay, if this axis is, the whole thing is 28, then half of that is 14. And 14 squared is 196. And I made a huge mistake right here. It's supposed to be a minus. It is a hyperbola, not an ellipse. Okay, this one right here. Remember, this is your vertice. And this is to your box. Okay, it says our transverse is horizontal, which means we are again dealing with a vertical or a horizontal x hyperbola. Okay, so x is first. Our x-coordinate is +3, so -3 when we plug it in. Minus. Our y-coordinate is a +2, so -2 when we plug it in. All hyperbolas equal 1. Okay, the horizontal axis, the whole thing is 4. So half of that is 2, and 4 squared is, or 2 squared is 4. Same thing here. Half of it is 2. So we end up with 4. 19. Okay, another horizontal. So we have x plus 9 squared minus y minus 1 squared equal 1. Okay, 12, half of that is 6. 6 squared is 36. Half of 14 is 7, and 7 squared is 49. And lastly, this guy, we are horizontal again, so another x. Our x-coordinate is negative 8, so positive 8 plus 4. The width, half of 14 is 7. 7 squared is 49. And half of 16 is 8, with 8 squared being 64. And that is it.